Hey, good Thursday morning. Yeah, Thursday morning. And, there's a lot of folks that's watching these devotions who are struggling in life right now. I mean, seriously, there are people who are unemployed, looking for employment. They're struggling to pay their bills. There are folks who are fighting COVID-19. There are folks who are grieving over loss of loved ones. There are folks who are fighting depression, anxiety. There's people in broken marriages, broken homes. And, I mean, just struggle after struggle after struggle. And I was thinking about Jesus, because Jesus understands what we're going through. And sometimes we just don't pray. We don't talk to God about it. But Jesus was carrying the weight of the world upon his shoulders when he was at the Garden of Gethsemane. And I'm just going to read to you from Matthew. This is Matthew chapter 26. And listen to what Jesus says. This is just his prayer. He says, "My Father," this is verse 39, "My Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass from me. Yet not what I want, but what you want." I mean, Jesus prayed that prayer 3 times. And we know that he was carrying the weight of the world upon his shoulders. And today, when you go out into the world, you're going to meet people that may have a smile on their face. They may have laughter in their hearts. But inside, deep down inside, they're carrying burdens that we don't even realize. And I want to share a devotion with you today. It's a story that was shared with me by email several years ago. But the question was, why was my burden so heavy? Enjoy. Why was my burden so heavy? I slammed the bedroom door and leaned against it. Is there no rest from this life? I wondered. I stumbled to my bed. I dropped onto it. I pressed my pillow around my ears to shut out the noise of my existence. "Oh God," I cried, "let me sleep. Let me sleep forever and never wake up." And with a deep sob, I tried to will myself into oblivion, then welcomed the blackness that came over me. Light surrounded me as I regained consciousness. I focused on its source, the figure of a man standing before a cross. "My child," the person asked, "why did you want to come to me before I'm ready to call you?" "Lord, I'm sorry. It's just that I can't go on. You see how hard it is for me? Look at this awful burden on my back. I simply can't carry it anymore." "But haven't I told you to cast all your burdens on me because I care for you? My yoke is easy and my burden is light." I knew you would say that. But why does mine have to be so heavy? "My child, everyone in the world has a burden. Perhaps you would like to try a different one." "I can do that?" He pointed to several burdens lying at his feet. "You may try any of these." All of them seemed to be of equal size, but each was labeled with a name. "There's Jones," I said. Joan was married to a wealthy businessman. She lived in a sprawling estate, dressed her 3 daughters in the prettiest designer clothes. Sometimes she drove me to church in her Cadillac. Yeah, when my car was broken down. She had everything. She had the good life. How could she have any burdens? Let me try that one. How difficult could her burden be, I thought. Well, the Lord removed my burden and placed Joan's on my shoulders. I sank to my knees beneath its weight. "Take it off," I yelled. "What makes it so heavy?" "Look inside," the gentle voice whispered. I untied the straps and opened the top. Inside was a figure of her mother-in-law, and when I lifted it out, it began to speak. "Joan, you'll never be good enough for my son," it began. "He never should have married you. You're a terrible mother to my grandchildren. I quickly placed the figure back in the pack and withdrew it to another one. It was Donna, Joan's youngest daughter. Her head was bandaged from the surgery that had failed to resolve her epilepsy. A third figure was Joan's brother. Addicted to drugs, he had been convicted of killing a police officer. I see why her burden is so heavy, Lord, but she's always smiling and helping others. I just didn't realize. Would you like to try another? He asked quietly. I tested several. Paula's felt heavy. She was raising 4 small boys without a father. Deborah's did too. A childhood of physical and emotional abuse and a marriage of emotional abuse. And when I came to Ruth's burden, I didn't even try. I knew that inside I would find arthritis, old age, a demanding full-time job, and a beloved husband in a nursing home. They're all too heavy, I said. Give back my own. As I lifted the familiar load once again, it seemed much lighter than the others. Let's look inside, he said. I turned away, holding it close. That's not a good idea, I said. Why? Well, there's a lot of junk in there. Let me see. The gentle whisper of his voice compelled me. I opened my burden. He pulled out a brick. Tell me about this one. Lord, you know it's money. I know we don't suffer like people in some countries or even the homeless here in America, but we have no insurance. And when the kids get sick, we can't always take them to the doctor. They've never been to a dentist, and I'm tired of dressing them in hand-me-downs. My child, I will supply all of your needs and your children's. I've given them healthy bodies. I will teach them that expensive clothing doesn't make a person valuable in my sight. Then he lifted out the figure of a small boy. And this, he asked. Andrew. I hung my head, ashamed to call my son a burden. But Lord, he's hyperactive. He's not quite like the other two. He makes me so tired. He's always getting hurt, and someone is bound to think I abuse him. I yell at him all the time. Someday, I may really hurt him. My child, Jesus said, if you trust me, I will renew your strength. If you allow me to fill you with my spirit, I will give you patience. Then he took some pebbles from my burden. Yes, Lord, I said with a sigh, those are small, but they're important. I hate my hair. It's thin and I can't make it look nice. I can't afford to go to the beauty shop. I'm overweight and I can't stay on a diet. I hate all of my clothes. I hate the way I look. My child, people look at your outward appearance, but I look at your heart. By my spirit, you can gain self-control to lose weight. But your beauty should not come from outward appearance. Instead, it should come from your inner self, the unfading beauty of a gentle and quiet spirit, which is of great worth in my sight. My burden now seemed lighter than before. I guess I can handle it now, I said. There is more, he said. Hand me that last brick. Oh, you don't have to take that. I can handle it. My child, give it to me. Again, his voice compelled me. He reached out his hand, and for the first time I saw the ugly wound. But, Lord, this brick is so awful, so nasty, so... Lord, what happened to your hands? They're so scarred. No longer focused on my burden, I looked for the first time into his face, and in his brow were ragged scars as though someone had pressed thorns into his flesh. Lord, I whispered, what happened to you? His loving eyes reached into my soul. My child, you know. Hand me the brick. It belongs to me. I bought it. How? How did you buy it? With my blood. But why, Lord? Because I have loved you with an everlasting love. It's okay. I will carry your burden. I placed the filthy brick into his wounded palm. It contained all the dirt and evil of my life, my pride, my selfishness, the depression that constantly tormented me. He turned to the cross and he hurled my brick into the pool of blood at its base. It hardly made a ripple. Now, my child, you need to go back. I will be with you always. And when you're troubled, call to me and I will help you. And I will show you things you cannot imagine. Yes, Lord, I will call on you. I reach to pick up my burden. You may leave that here if you wish. You see, all these burdens, they are the ones that others have left at my feet. Jones, Paula's, Deborah's, Ruth's. I placed my burden with him. The light began to fade. Yet I heard Jesus whisper, I will never leave you, and I will never forsake you. Friends, Jesus knows what it's like to carry burdens. Many of you are carrying burdens today, and I want you to know you're not alone. I'm praying for you. I'm praying with many of you. And I invite you to pray. Lift up your heart to the Lord. God will give you strength. And no matter the burden that you're bearing today, trust and know that Christ is with us. This is Pastor Bill from St. Luke's United Methodist Church, Harrisville, West Virginia, Ritchie County, West Virginia. Pray for one another. Pray for your country. And wherever you are, I hope you're happy, I hope you're healthy, and I hope you're safe. Have a great day, and God bless.